But I did want to make an effort to come out to talk about the master, Leiji Matsumoto, who has passed away. Definitely very sad as we are processing the loss of possibly the most important mangaka that was still alive as of February 13th. He made such a dramatic impact to anime and everybody who enjoyed his anime. I've never met a person who took a deep and serious and loving take on the Leijiverse, who wasn't moved, who wasn't changed by this work. And yeah, I can't believe it either, Margot. It's really tough. Thank you for swinging by the chat. And I hope we can all collectively get behind the idea of this man and what he meant. I mean, I run this page like I've been watching Matsumoto content since I was, in my teens or something, but it's just not the case. I found Leiji Matsumoto late, I believe it was mid-late 2018. They had the 3-9 movie on Amazon Prime, and it's since been gone, and it's actually one of the things that I'm most disappointed about in terms of like what's easily available to people to watch in the Leijiverse, because I mean, everybody loves their first, right? But there's something to be said for that. We talked about it in our Queen Melania episode, and how the Queen Melania movie tries to replicate a lot of things that make the first Galaxy Express 3-9 movie really special, and it's about chasing that Rintaro high. And I think those were wise words, and I do believe I've been chasing that high, but in the chase for that high, I actually got something a lot more important, I think. Rip to a true pioneer of Japanese sci-fi, not just anime and manga. You're absolutely right. Just a pioneer for sci-fi. I think, really, and thank you so much for the follow, Margot, the Space Pirate. Just a sci-fi and really a storytelling master. I mean, if we want to boil who Matsumoto is down to its core essence, it's that. It's nice from you to make this live. I could talk about with a big passionate. Please, everyone, heads up. The best homage is to continue to appreciate the art. Yes, and that's what we're trying to do here with Leijiverse. This fan project is, well, I'll get to it. So I watched that movie in 2018, and something about that movie just, I wept. I think if you don't weep at a Matsumoto thing, I think tears are the only appropriate response to the end of the first Galaxy Express 3-9 movie if you've not seen anything of that caliber in your life yet. And I don't think I had. And I don't think there are many things of the caliber of Galaxy Express 3-9, that movie, in general. So 2018 goes by, and at the beginning of 2018, I experienced, at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, I experienced a small house fire. And as a result of that house fire, which didn't really, it made everything smell bad, but the biggest thing it did is separate me and a bit of a hetero life mate, as people have put it before. A roommate I'd had for a long time, and it was time for us to part, and so I began a journey, right? He was so far ahead of his time. I love that the fandom is widely recognized but also closely knit, but losing him feels like a personal loss. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I began a journey, lived by myself for the first time in 2019, which is kind of crazy, but I just couldn't afford to live by myself before that. I'll be real. And, discovered a lot of independence in that time, and I was building up a business, a branding business, actually. My story with Matsumoto. Well, I'm 21 now. When I was 19, I read Harlock Emeraldus, some short story and compilations. Oh, okay, I'm guessing you're French, right? Galaxy Express 39. What a goddamn masterpiece. The last volume of the first part really shook me like I rarely was. Yeah, there's something about that story. It really does wreck you. The last volume of the first part really shook me. Yeah, after that I watched the 39 movie and the OVA. Which OVA? Galaxy Express 39 OVA. Which OVA? And never stop to talk about it around me. I will continue. Oh, okay, Eternal Fantasy. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, the movie. It was gonna be a series of some sort, but anyways, so I'm living on my own for the first time in a rat-infested apartment with squirrels that run around in the ceilings and give my cat fleas, and it was a rough time, and but it was a formative time. And I was doing branding work up until 2020 hit. And 2020 hits, and it hits the fan, and I lose a client, an Australian client who had just gotten hit by the Australian wildfires, and then COVID was coming up. And lots of people were about to be struggling through COVID. They just, even if you shouldn't, when it happens, people cut branding and like advertising first, even though that's bad idea. But anyways, it's counterproductive. Flows, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Heath Hayden, damn, I'm just hearing about this news now. Matsumoto had made up much of my fandom from a very young age. Rip legend until we meet again in Sea of Stars. And remember, everybody, time does not betray dreams. Flows, thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Sleep easy. And I look to be more live. I'll talk about it later, that I'm doing some personal projects. This isn't that, there's not cross promotion time, okay? But I'll be back on more, and we'll talk about all sorts of things. And I hope we all get to know each other better, because that's been a huge part of the benefit of doing this fan project. So anyways, 2020 hits, it hits the fan. I lose a bunch of clients. I get on the government aid that is provided, and I just start focusing on myself. And actually during that time is when I started to stream. So that's actually the beginning of this channel as well, in 2020. And in late April, sometime in the midst, I'm pretty sure this happened in 2019. I want to give a shout out to the Happy Console Gamer, Johnny Millennium. I don't know if you guys know Happy Console Gamer. Let me know in chat if you know Happy Console Gamer. Legend. One of the best gaming YouTubers still around there. One of the ones you don't have to be let down by. One of the ones that just seems to know exactly how to like maintain a gaming channel without it becoming a mess. Anyways, good guy. And I messaged him because I was on a YouTube kick. I was looking for all the Leiji Matsumoto information that I could dig up, right? I was ready to be the sponge. And in my spongery, I came across a couple videos that Johnny Millennium was in. He talked about, he was on I forget whose, but he was on a friend's channel, and he did a review of Arcadia in my youth. And I was looking into it, and this was the time, I think before or around the time when the Gainax movies that were announced were, before, I think it was still before when those were up. And I said to him, oh, you should talk about these, Johnny. You should let your audience know about these. Because I know he likes to talk about anime. He talks a lot about Macross. Hey, Nemo, how's it going? Obviously, we're dealing with the sad news here, but I hope all's well regardless. So I'm on that kick, and I say to Johnny, I tweet Johnny, I say, hey man, you should talk about these upcoming movies. You should talk about Leiji Matsumoto with your audience. And he basically just goes, you do it. If you want that to exist, you need to do it. And I at first you kind of think about it and you're like, oh, come on, man, I'll just give you a video suggestion. But the more you think about it, the more you realize he's right. And something about, I have been an artist my whole life, and I'm not a fantastic illustrator by any means, but I draw and I have ideas, and I try to be a storyteller, and I've been a musician for a long time, and I do design work for professionally. So, you know, creating things is important to me. And, you know, I watched a lot of people as an artist around me honor or kind of leverage as well the masters. And what I noticed the most, especially when I was playing punk music, and I noticed there were a lot of people who had rebel symbol tattoos, or usually rebel. Some of them had like imperial and rebel, and they're, you know, light and dark, whatever. So, and I always kind of looked at, they'd sell like homemade patches, like bootleg patches with like the rebel symbol or the imperial symbol on them, or something else, you know? Lots of parody stuff. And obviously that stuff's been on Threadless forever. Parody t-shirts used to be a much bigger thing, I think, than they are now. But I'm sure all of us remember how big parody t-shirts were. And I always kind of looked down on it. I always kind of thought, aren't you creative enough to make your own thing? Why do you have to make money off of somebody else's work? Why do you have to do that? And then I made this page, and I realized it's whatever rewards come to me through it. It's important to all artists, and all people who appreciate art. But for artists, it's almost like a rite of passage. And I put it off for a very long time because maybe out of pride, and I think also just because I didn't find my master, right? A lot of people I was around, they love Star Wars. George Lucas is their master, whatever. You know, that's the person telling the story that they connected with and they wanted to honor. And whatever it was, there were cover bands, and, you know, people honor the artists they love. So, and that's something I hadn't done. And with this project, I realized why it's so important. Why is it a rite of passage? Because you need to learn. You need to, and it's not about, you know, you have art history class, and they're going to give you a crash course on Dadaism, and you're going to learn about Warhol, and you're going to learn about Rembrandt and Impressionism, and, you know, all these different concepts. And Van Gogh, who I share a birthday with, March 30th, it's coming up. And this song. And so I learned why I was an artist through making this page. I learned why I'm making things. And I learned why storytelling is important. And I learned what were the things in the stories that I didn't like? Why didn't I like those things? You know, do I not like gore movies because I am afraid of death? Or is it because I just don't think it's telling the story that is most meaningful at that time? Now, I'm not saying that gore movies don't need to exist. I'm not saying they're not meaningful to somebody. But it's not meaningful to me. And why isn't it meaningful to me? Why is that not meaningful to me? And why is Galaxy Express 39 the most meaningful story I've ever read? Mid-2020, May, I launched this page, and this page is a whirlwind. This page is a Leijiverse on Facebook, Leijiverse on YouTube now, and Twitter now. It's all going. It's all, and I will say that this journey has given me new friends. I hope they're my friends. But this journey has also given me new adversaries. And I think it was kind of destined to be that way. I've watched a little bit too much Leijiverse not to think it would obviously be that way. Taking on these challenges is not easy. Taking on the legacy of one of the most important mangaka ever to live. I've met a lot of people. Some of it's been adversarial. Some of it's been friendship. All of it, though, has been the path of self-discovery. It's Tetsuro gets on the train and he takes off. And the Leijiverse was my Maytel. The entire thing. And it hurt and it felt good and I love it. And part of it's gone now. And part of my dreams were to meet the master. To show him what I'd worked on. Show him how much I loved his work. To show him how much people in America loved his work. And maybe to get something selfish out of it. Maybe to meet a master I respected and bow. Because that's not something that is very characteristic of me. And I'm not going to make this about me forever, but it's meant so much, and my personal life has changed so much through this, and this has been a daily practice, nearly daily practice, and there's been breaks here and there. But the learning, and it's like some people study the Bible, I study the Leijiverse. And with each new passage I read, I learn something new about life and myself. So, I just wanted to thank all of you for appreciating Leiji Matsumoto with me. And thank you, Leiji Matsumoto. My dreams to meet you and all that, I know that time will never betray my dreams. And I thank you for teaching me that.